Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this webinar today. We will be going over a lot of really useful information, and so hopefully before we're done, we will have addressed any new or lingering uncertainties as you prepare to submit the CTE student and course collections for the 24-25 school year. So my name is Leslie Pearlman, and I am the CTE data owner for the CTE spring collection, which includes the student and course collections. And I am excited to help you all through this data gathering experience this year. And with that, I will turn it over to Carly.
Hello, I am Carly Sichley, and I am the CTE data owner for the CTE program yearly update and work closely with Leslie around all things CTE data and also work with our CTE programs of study and all the areas that make them high quality.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm. So today we're going to talk about the CTE student and CTE course collections and walk you all through how to get those completed and get those off of your plates. Leslie is going to talk you through which institutions should submit and which records should be included, which information data needs to be submitted to us at ODE, things to think about before you're submitting to get ready for those submissions. And we're going to provide you with some checklists that will hopefully make that process a little bit easier and get you as well prepared as possible before you actually do your submissions. Think about some FERPA reminders and some best practices to help you finish up the process at the end. And hopefully we'll have walked you through the entire process and made it as easy and complete as possible. By the time you have finished watching this recording, you will know exactly what to do. If not, we will have contact information at the end so that you know exactly who to reach out to if you have any lingering questions.
You bet. We can't necessarily guarantee that we will make this a good time, but we can make sure that you don't have a bad time submitting these data. We want to make sure that everyone is able to get these data submitted and move on your merry way.
So the CTE student and course collections have some pretty important dates that we wanted to make sure everyone is aware of. Today is May 28th, so tomorrow is May 29th and the opening day of the CTE student and CTE course collections. At that point, I think it's actually at like 1 o'clock exactly in the afternoon. They are open for submission. Yay! So y'all can start submitting. By the time you watch this, I'm guessing they will be open and you may have already gone in and taken a look at those. And those collections are open until and through July 21st. And so until the end of the day on July 21st, schools and districts are able to submit their CTE student and course collection data and make any adjustments or correct any errors. And then just a couple other dates to keep in mind around the student and course collection is that we are going to have a new review and validation window for the CTE and course collection, and that will take place August 7th through August 26th. That is looking an opportunity to look for potential errors and flag them or adjust those errors, make changes and corrections without having to request reopen from Leslie. And so August 7th through 22nd. And then even a little bit later in the summer, starting on August 28th through September 22nd, we will have a CTE student and course collection reopens on an as-need basis with requests to Leslie if people take another look at their data and realize that there are still things that need to be adjusted or corrected. And so these are important dates to keep track of and remember. July 21st is your first close date. And then thinking about August 7th through August 26th, so that if there are things that need to be adjusted and corrected and you don't need to reach out or don't want to reach out, you just want to do that yourself. And then August 28th through September 22nd, if things need to be adjusted, you do have to reach out, but there is still an option to make some adjustments. But after October 6th of 2025, that is the final data deadline. And so after that date, the data is locked in for the 24-25 school year. I'm thinking about my school years. And at that point, no additional changes or corrections will be allowable. So at that time, everything is locked in and set. So those are your dates.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we're just going to do a quick run through, or I'm going to do a quick run through of some CTE data information and the CTE collections. And then I'm going to pass it on to Leslie, and she's going to talk you through what you really want to know about and why you're watching this webinar. But just because CTE data is bigger than just the two CTE spring collections, and this is just a quick reminder that's important. And we like to remind everyone and bring everything back full circle every time we talk about the collections. So the CTE has 3 annual Perkins required data collections, and the first of those is the program yearly update. And it happens each school year. So some of you may be part of that and some may not, but that happens in late August each year. And it really builds the foundation for these other 2 collections that are opening right now at the end of May, the student and course collections. Because not everyone really realizes that there are the 3 data collections. We just often think about the 2, the student and the course collection. The process for completing the program yearly update and then the CTE student and course collections oftentimes get siloed and get completed by different people who may not talk to each other or communicate. But really the most accurate and complete data that we get at ODE come from schools or districts where there is communication and collaboration happening between all of the individuals responsible for reporting CTE data. Each of the CTE programs course offerings that are annually accepted as part of the fall collection. So during the program update, we take schools provide the courses and courses that will be offered for the current school year, and we approve those as part of the CTE program. And that is that is what is allowable and then validates against what gets submitted to us in as the student engagement in the CTE course collection. So it is very important that that information is accurate and correct so that when you all submit your information to us in the CTE course collection, you're able to submit complete and accurate student engagement data because it can accurately validate against what was provided to us in the program update in the fall. And so if there are issues with what happens during that foundational collection in the fall, it can really impact the CTE student and course collection in the spring. And so we just really like to remind everyone that there is a direct connection between the three collections, and if staying in communication and collaboration with your partners, like Leslie and I tried to do, is really important in making sure that you can accurately get your student engagement and data submitted to us completely during your spring collections.
You bet. All right. Thank you so much for that. So now that we have kind of reminded everyone about the relationship between the three collections for the CTE data, let's move on to talking about the two student level collections that are opening on Thursday, May 29th. So we have two student level collections. We have the CTE student collection, which is always submitted first. And then we have the CTE course selection, which is always submitted second. For the student collection, you will have one row for each student in the entire school. This includes students who did not engage with CTE at all. So for example, if you have a school with 50 students in grades 9 through 12, you should report 50 students in the CTE student file. For the CTE course collection, you will submit one record per student per CTE course in the school year. So as an example, if you have a school of 50 students in grades 9 through 12, and each of those students took 2 CTE courses in the 24-25 school year, you should report 100 course records in the CTE course file. And in this collection, please do remember that we are only looking for data from the 24-25 school year. When you're thinking about the data that are needed to complete these course collections, both the student and the course, there are different data sources. So if you think about this as like the tree that's above ground, these are the roots, and this is where the roots are getting their nutrients from. Sorry if that was terrible. So for CTE student, you will be using an export from your student information system, as well as teacher data provided data. The teacher provided data relate to the work-based learning experiences that students will need to have reported, any industry recognized credentials that students have earned, and any student leadership organizations that the students have participated in. For the CTE course, the data come all from your student information system export. The reason that this is important is that one of the parts of the collection experience that the data submitters get to have is finding the data from the teachers that the teachers need to submit. So not any two school districts really do this the same, but some of the successful examples that we've seen of gathering these data are to just create a spreadsheet that might be sent around to the teachers, having a Google form that the teachers can fill out this information. I know that it's old school and very controversial in this day, but you could also just talk to these teachers. There will need to be communication back and forth so that you can accurately capture the student's entire experience to be able to submit these data properly. I just want to go over briefly to remind you of what the consolidated collection interface looks like and how to get there. So to access the CTE student and course collection, you can access this through the district site. So you can log in there and then clicking on the application consolidated collections, and then you can navigate to CTE student and course for 24-25. So you will see a menu at the top here for student collections, and then you will see both your course and your student collections available here. So you can just hover over this and you'll be able to activate this dropdown. And then when you are ready to submit the data, you will hover over student collections, then again hover over the CTE course. But of course you would do that second because student comes first. And then it'll bring you over to this data submission, another menu that's going to pop out, and then you can choose whether or not you want to use the file upload or if you want to do the web submission. And we will go over what both of those look like. So those are your two options. So let's talk about the student data specifically first. Why would we talk about student first? You might have guessed. It's because that's the one that you're going to enter first. So this is an example of a checklist. This is by no means, I guess, arguably a sufficient list. All of these things are necessary, but this is not a sufficient list to complete this task. There is a full checklist in the data submitter guide that is available on the district website. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to make sure that you update your student information system state reporting function. We don't have access into these systems, but it is our understanding that there is a way to update this. If you're not sure how to update this or if it needs to be updated, you can contact your institution's reporting design team and to get your your student information system rep for assistance to edit this report if you need to. The second thing you're going to want to do is to make sure that all secondary students, grades 9 through 12, on site for 20 or more days in the school year are included in the CTE institution ID as well as the attending school ID. Basically, you're looking at, does this spreadsheet have about as many rows as your institution has students? It's a pretty good first check. You're going to want to gather and review. You're going to want to gather the data and have your CTE teachers review anything related to student leadership, to IRCs, or to work-based learning. All of that is going to have to come from the teachers. And so it's kind of a choose your own adventure how you want to interact. That's what I was talking about with the Excel spreadsheets or having a Google form or just an old-fashioned conversation. So which institutions should submit CTE student? All CTE sites must submit to CTE student directly or through the school district. Even if all of the CTE programs are dormant, CTE student is a required submission. Again, in 2025, please do enter records for the school year 2024-25 only. Students to include. So we have 3 categories of students here. And you will include all students who attended any classes on site for at least 20 days. And then after that, so you've got all the students who attended any classes on site for at least 20 days, but did not engage in a CTE startup or approved program of study. Those are category 1 students. Category 2 students are students who are in a CTE startup or an approved program of study, but do not have any eligible leadership, work-based learning, or IRC outcomes to report in this collection year. And category 3 students are those students who, again, have attended any classes on site for at least 20 days and are in that approved CTE program of study or startup and do have the eligible leadership, work-based learning, or IRC outcomes to report. And if you are reporting a student away from their SSID affiliated attending school, you will use CTE site in place of the attending school. And the CTE data submitter guide does have several examples of how to do this. So when we're talking about the required data for by student rather, this is a screenshot of what it would look like if you were in the web entry side of the data uploading. So if you chose to upload your data using the web interface, this is what it's going to look like. You will also see this screen if you are correcting errors manually. So that's where you're going to see this screen. It's just a nice visual representation of what the spreadsheet looks like. It's representing the same data. So required data for students in all categories includes the SSID and the student core, the the columns of data that are common to all ODE collections. And this is going to include the CTE twist on the attending district and school. You're going to have a year-end status code, an academic disadvantaged flag, and work-based learning type codes. And the type codes here, we will go over this in more detail here, but the type code is, it defaults to Z if there are no work-based learning experiences to report. Otherwise, there are 6 categories that you can choose from. If you choose a category other than Z, you will be required to enter a zip code for the respective program of study related to this work-based learning. Hours are always optional. So for those students in category 3, where you're looking at the student leadership organization, you'll see that up here. We will also show you how to create these entries in the bulk upload. You've got your work-based learning that we just discussed, and then here is the place for your IRCs, your industry recognized credentials. You can enter 2 per student here, and so you'll have a code, and I'll provide all of the information on where you can find these codes. You can find them in multiple locations. But so there's the code for the actual credential. Then you'll have the zip code that relates that credential to the program of study. You have the administration date that needs to be within the school year, and then the pass indicator, so whether or not they met the credential qualifications or not. This slide is about the student leadership organization data. You can leave this blank if you are not reporting this for a student record. So here are the list of all of the organizations here. They are you can also get this information from the data submitters guide. And here is a link that provides additional resources about the career and technical student leadership organizations. If you are looking at choosing this other and you want to understand this little asterisk here must be in collaboration with and have approval, you can get more information about that in this resources page. And of course, also and always, if you have questions about this, please do feel free to reach out to me and I can help you fill this out. The work-based learning data. So work-based learning type codes are required for all records. And you can see here that you can report up to 4 work-based learning experiences per student. The default in both the web entry and in your export from your student information system should be Z, which is not applicable. If the work-based learning is Z, you do not need to enter a zip code, and the hours are optional. If you do choose, if there is a work-based learning experience to report, and let's say it's a clinical practicum, and you select that as the option, you will need to then select the appropriate zip code for that program of study that the work-based learning is related to. So I have provided in a couple of slides coming up, there is additional information about what qualifies as work-based learning, how to understand that, and that should be able, and again, you can also always reach out to me if you have any questions about what qualifies or how to enter these data. So we're going to talk about an example of this. So in this example, to submit or to not to submit, that indeed is the question. So you have 11th and 12th graders that are National Honor Society members, and they must complete 32 hours of road cleanup in the community. The road cleanups are overseen by an instructor from the school and a community member. The students complete these 32 hours of community service over 4 weekends. Should this be submitted into the CTE student collection? I assume that you're all roundly saying, no, this is not what we are talking about for CTE work-based learning. And again, if you have any questions about that, there's a link to the Perkins 5 Work-Based Learning Handbook. It's going to give you all of the information you need about what constitutes a work-based learning experience for a student and how to and we've gone over how to record that in the student upload. So here are your different type codes. These are the 6 different types of work-based learning that you can choose from when you are indicating these experiences for a student. And again, anything that is not Z, you will need to submit an appropriate zip code that is related to this work-based learning experience. Similarly, with the IRCs, the industry recognized credentials, there is a code for each IRC. And you can find that code in various places. There are links, and we're going to talk about it in the next slide as to where you can find them on the website. But you can also find this information within the consolidated collections when you're looking at your where you're submitting the CTE student or course. There's a report tab, you can select that report, and it will provide you a list of all of the IRC codes. That's one way to get to them. So for the IRC, you're going to leave this blank if you're not reporting a completion attempt of a IRC for the record. And if you are completing an attempt of a CTE IRC, you will need to include the code, the administration date, the program, the zip code, and the passcode. So the code here is just that's indicating the specific IRC, and the zip code is tying that IRC to your program. So you want to ensure that the administration dates are accurate and eligible. You want to make sure that any IRC that is shared across multiple programs is only reported for one program. In any case of a duplicated CTE IRC reporting, only one submission per student per CTE IRC is included in the site validation reports, secondary career pathways reports, and other ODE processing. You want to make sure that CTE IRC are only reported for students who test to complete the credential in coordination with an aligned CTE program that they took courses in. And if it is a portfolio IRC, you want to make sure that that's only submitted after all of the pieces are attained. So like I said, I was going to show you some places where you could find the information about these IRCs. So there is a guide, and this is going to go into a lot of detail about the specific IRC itself. But if you're just looking for a table, you can find it here via this link. Here's a screenshot of what it looks like. If you're interacting with it on the website, you can just click on either of these columns and it'll sort it by that column. You can also export it to Excel or as a PDF. Super handy. And like I said, you can also get this within the reporting function in the consolidated collections. Friendly reminder that FERPA applies to CTE student, and spoiler, it's going to apply to CTE course as well. There's lots of student personally identifiable information here, which means that they must be stored and shared securely. I want to encourage everyone to reach out and ask questions. Sometimes those questions are going to be, I cannot figure out what is going on with this file. Can you please take a look at it? I certainly can, but not if you email it to me. Please don't email it. Don't do it. With the same place that you would go to get into your collections in the apps on the district site, you will find a secure file transfer, and that is how you can send me any and all data that you would like me to take a look at in order to help make sure that your submissions go smoothly. Never send email, not back and forth to one another, definitely not back and forth to me. Just make sure that you use that file transfer service. It's free, and there's not a lot of things that we could say that about in this world, but it is. So please do use it. And so here is a CTE course example checklist to get you all prepared for this data adventure for submitting the course data. You want to review the approved CTE program's detail report. To review your approved program and course information, you want to make sure that those codes match up with the data that are in your student information system. You can pull a report at any time. You can pull one from the fall if your grades are not quite submitted yet. You can pull one from the fall to see the grades, the format, and make sure that everything's coming through. and to make sure that you understand the format of the data. You're going to want to ensure that all active CTE program and zip codes are included and correct, related to what is in your approved programs of study. And for each program, you want to check the course sections to make sure that they're reported for accuracy and that all our active courses, the sections are all represented, and that the earned grades and credits are accurate and reflective of passing and non-passing enrollments. We do want to make sure that you are submitting all of the grades. So whether or not a student passed or did not pass, we do need all of those records. And we want to make sure that all CTE courses shared across multiple programs are only reported for one program. So the approved CTE programs detail, this is where you can get, and you can export it as a CSV, a full list of all the courses and the zip codes. It actually comes with a lot of information. You want to make sure that when you go to this web page linked here, that you select on show course descriptions and include the course information. And that is going to give you all the things in the small print down here. It's really helpful. You can search by region, by district, by school. This is open to everyone. You don't need a login to get to this page, so anyone can go in and take a look and download these files. And again, this is going to be at the you can look at this at any level that you would like to. There's lots of different search availabilities, search filters that you can use here. So you're going to be using this often. Hopefully you've been using it. We use it a lot here, so it's very helpful. Reach out if you have any questions. So which students should submit for CTE course? All CTE sites. All of them. It makes it pretty easy. So all CTE sites are going to submit to CTE course directly or through the school district for each active startup or approved program of study to maintain secondary career pathways eligibility. Again, you're going to include all enrollments that resulted in non-passing and passing grades, and grade codes. This is an equity requirement, so that's why we need all of the enrollments that include the non-passing grades. There's a Perkins-specific requirement asking for the enrollments for all program of study course sections. And then there are some requirements specific to secondary career pathways that relate to the full point and funding allocations. So you want to make sure that you submit all of your course section enrollments from both startups and approved programs of study. And again, if you are reporting students away from their SSID affiliated attending school, use the CTE site as the attending school. There are required data points, just like in CTE student. So it's going to start with that SSID student core, the CTE twist on the attending district and school. The CTE course section data, including your zip code, a course name or number, a course section if applicable, and the teacher name. And finally, student outcome data. So you're looking at the course section credit. This is not a GPA. This is not a weighted credit. And the grade earned. So you're also making sure that you're including enrollments with non-passing grade codes. If you were doing this entry from the web, this is what it would look like. Again, just a visual representation of what you would have represented in that Excel spreadsheet. If you do decide to upload with the batch, it's going to have the CTE site and zip code, the course section, the course number, and the teacher name. And the student outcome data, we talked about that earned grade and the course section credit. So again, this is that drop down. So these are your choices here. If the grade is an F, the credit must be 0. If F, then 0. So all course attempts must be in CTE course. Again, even with those with the W and I or non-passing grade, non-passing grades other than F are reported with the same credit as other records for the course section. I promised you that I was going to say it, and here it is, me not breaking my promises. FERPA applies to CTE course. Again, this is a student level file. It's got tons of personally identifiable information, so it is subject to FERPA. No email. Please use the secure file transfer. Again, it's free. Please make use of it. All right, so now you're so ready, you're so excited, and now we get to move on to like the action, the fun stuff. Reviewing, revising, and submitting the data. That is what we are all here for. So when we're thinking about the data, we're thinking about data quality. And data quality can be thought of in these 6 different groups: completeness, uniqueness, timeliness, validity, accuracy, and consistency. The data quality is really important because number one, we're talking about students and student outcomes. That's always really important to have high data quality. You're also making decisions about the programs. You're looking at the health of the programs. You're looking at all of the things that you want to understand about being able to sustain things that are going well and to improve things that are not. And in order to do that, you need quality data and quality data gathering and preparation techniques. So how do these ideas translate specifically to the CTE data? So when we're talking about completeness, we're talking about out of the entire universe of students, what are we looking at as far as we're reporting? We're hoping that that's really equal to the universe of students that are possible. So we're gonna run it on CTE site specific. Sorry, you're going to run CTE site-specific student information reports, and you're going to say, is anything missing here? Am I missing any students? Am I missing any of the information, any data related to these students? And are all of the CTE courses listed as approved courses in the program of study? So uniqueness. If there are students that are reported in multiple different rows when they shouldn't be, there was a name change, there was a student demographic change, there was just some other sort of error. You want to make sure that we are looking at unique records where there should be unique records. If you have 50 students, you want 50 students, you want 50 rows in that CTE student file. If you have 50 students, each taking 2 classes apiece, you're going to want 100 rows for each student in each CTE course. So you're looking at, are all the CTE programs and courses taught this year represented? Timeliness. And while generally in this context, timeliness is related to the timeliness of the data, so making sure the data are on the 24-25 year and looking at things like the eligibility dates for the IRC, that's really what we mean by timeliness. But we also mean start sooner rather than later. The sooner you start, the fewer other people that are going to have reached out to me, the more time that I will have. I'm just kidding. I will make any time that necessary needed for anyone who needs any help. But the sooner that you start, the sooner that you can just like move on with your life and go on to either your next exciting data adventure or I don't know, maybe just your summer, your life. Go enjoy it. Don't think about CTE collections longer than you have to. Validity, making sure that number one, the format of the data are fitting into the prescribed way that is required, but also looking at the verification of the data. So there are lots of ways to verify the data. You can, the whole team can get involved. It can be a whole CTE data verification party. You know, bring your friends, bring your teachers, make sure that the data are accurate so that we don't have to reopen it. And again, you can just feel really good about it and enjoy your summer. Talking about accuracy, we're going to talk about the production download report and how to review that. So you can audit the production download to review your submission. It should have the same number of records as the report that you exported from your student information system, and looking at whether or not the CTE course details in the student information system and ODE system align. And then we're looking at consistency, comparing last year's numbers to these numbers, comparing any other demographics that you might have, nice aggregate summaries about. If you need help thinking about that, if you want some suggestions about that, again, please feel free to reach out to me and we can come up with some ideas. So, because all of you are perfect and none of you will make any errors, I probably don't even need to cover this slide, but we're going to just in case an error does pop up. So when you are when you submit your data, there's ways that you can look for this. So you will hover over again your CTE student if that's where you're looking. There's an error management tab, and then you can review the errors. You have three choices for dealing with records containing unresolved validation errors. And what's a validation error? You have a student who you have a student record made it in there, and that student has already graduated. So the error that you might see is going to be like an invalid student ID for that attending school. And so you can either click on that little arrow or the little check mark and go into that file and change that. So to say, ooh, that the student record, this is incorrect. The student actually didn't graduate, and you can make a manual change there. Or you can delete the record entirely by clicking that little X. Or you can download a CSV file, including all of the errors, fix those errors in that CSV, and re-upload that. It will delete the records that were in error that were initially uploaded and replace them with the corrected data. So this is what it looks like in the screen. And these are the ways that you can deal with it. Again, any questions, I'm here to help. This is also covered in the data submitters guide. Your production download report. So for each collection, both CTE student and CTE course, you have the option within the consolidated collection reports of clicking on something that is going to give you a production download report. So when you click on this, it's going to take you to another window, and then it's going to tell you that you're going to get an email. Within a few minutes, you should check your email for something from the ODE help desk. That is going to be, it's going to take you to a link. You're going to enter some information in there. I think you just verify your email or your password, and that's going to give you access to that download. And you will be able to see a file that should look identical to the file that you uploaded. What you got out of your student information system, plus any other additional information from teachers, it should look the same. If you uploaded 50 rows, you should have 50 rows in this production download. And you can check them column for column to make sure that you have the right data. You could do this for both student and for course, and we recommend that you do. It's the easiest way to verify line by line that the data are there. There's another report that you can look at. There's one report, and this covers both collections, and it's going to give you a summary of the data that you have. So you can see here, it's going to give you a count of the students, and it also gives you a percentage of the students that are falling into each of those categories. Just a quick way to double check your information. This is going to come out as a PDF. It will not direct you anywhere else. As soon as you click on this report, the download will be initiated and you can get it out of your browser. And it's a PDF so if you do this at the district level, it will include all schools in the district. If you do it at the school level, this will be the first page that you see, followed by a snapshot of data, which is basically your CTE core data, right? The SSID and some student demographics, and it's just in a PDF that you can look at. And this will update if you upload a partial data and then you upload something else, or I clear the collection for you and you upload it, this will update for you and provide everything that you see here for you to understand and just do some data checks about the accuracy of the data that you've uploaded. So you're going to want to review the CTE student and course submissions. And so how are you going to do that? You are going to audit the production download that we just discussed and review that submission. So does the production download accurately reflect the complete CTE site-specific student information system reports? You're going to verify that the data submission is complete. And you're going to verify this and I mean that in two ways. So when you're going to verify this by having conversations with folks, you're going to make sure that these data make sense, that the math is mathing, and that everybody believes and is buying what you're selling when it comes to this. But it's also an actual button that you have to click when you have uploaded your data, everyone's looked it over, everyone has approved it, everyone has now, like Balki Bartakamas, come together to do the dance of joy, current references only, you actually do need to click a button that says verify submission. That's going to be visible to anybody who is accessing these data. They're going to be able to see that it was verified. That this can be removed and reapplied as many times as needed while the window is open. And again, any time that you have questions about this or I don't know what to do, I don't know why this happened, I'm not sure, you don't have to guess. Just reach out and ask me. I'm happy to help. So that is how that's the verification. So you're going to audit it and then you're going to verify it and then you're going to submit it and you're going to be so excited to just live your best life. Let's review some best practices. So I've mentioned it before. Carly mentioned it at the beginning. So when you're talking about your program yearly update, the folks that are in charge of that update, it's really best if there's a good communication between those folks and the folks that are doing the spring collections, if it's not the same person. But you also need to bring in your administrators, your teachers, and your data submitters. All y'all should be hanging out at the same CTE data party to make sure that the numbers are adding up, that you've got all the right student experiences accounted for, and that your data are as good to go as you can get them to make sure that you're getting all the stuff uploaded. You're going to submit the data in this order. First is student. Second is course. And then you're going to review the following after you've uploaded your files: the production download and the CTE site summary of both collections. So remember that production download, you'll do it for each collection. So you'll go to reports, CTE student, select the school year, production download, and then you go to CTE course, select the school year, and then production download. So you'll get 2 files from that. They're going to come in an email. Well, you'll be prompted to go to another site from ODE Help Desk, versus the site summary that is an instant PDF download. If you are interested in a weekly status report, you can go ahead and just sign up using this link. It'll take you to a Google form, and I will add you to the list. All Perkins Grant managers receive this report, but anyone can if you just let me know that you're interested in it. I'm happy to create it and send it out. It'll be emailed each Wednesday beginning on June 11th and ending on July 16th. Where you can find some help. So first of all, me, hi, right here, hi. It is in my job description to provide customer service. It is in my own personal desire to provide delightful customer service and make everyone's data dreams come true, especially when it comes to this data submission. So when should you email or call? When should you do that? When should you reach out to me, your friendly and supportive CTE Spring Collection Steward? Early, often, to ask questions, to vent about uploading data. Look, I didn't build this system, and I don't know the people that did, and I won't tell them what you said. So if you just need to call and get that off your chest, I'm here, and I won't tell anybody. To tell me about all the things that you'll do with your time because you got your CTE data submitted already. Or to tell me about what you wish you were doing instead of uploading the data. If you want to come up with ways or have me double, triple, quadruple check anything that you're worried about, I'm here for that too. If you need me to clear a collection because you're like, I don't know what I just uploaded, and I'll be like, I don't know either. Let's try again. On that note, don't ever feel ashamed or weird about reaching out because we're not looking at it unless you ask us to look at it. We're not looking. I'm not just going to be like, did you see what Susan just uploaded over there? We're not doing that. So get in there early. Try the stuff out. If you upload something that is a data disaster, just let me know, and it's one button and I clear the whole thing. Other reasons to ask me a question because you've looked everywhere and you cannot find the answer. Because you are doing 5011 other things and you don't have time to research all these things. These are all really good reasons to just reach out and ask me questions. My email is provided here. My phone number is provided here. I haven't had a whole bunch of phone calls leading up to this point, so I have had my phone on silent. I will put the ringer on, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can, anytime that you reach out for anything that you might need. But in case you're just like, I don't really want to talk to the people, okay? So here are some other resources that you can just like click on a link and find. So we've got the district site here. We've spoken about it a few times. It's going to be a really good place to start a lot of the times. That and honestly just Google. But let's start let's just stick with the ODE district site. We talked about the approved CTE programs detail. There's also the CTE collections page within the district site. There are file formats that you can download so that you can see exactly how, when you're looking at your export from your student information system, to compare it to the file format. You can see those things right there. You can download it, play with it, put your own data in, whatever you like to do. Here's a link to the CTE information system and a link to the consolidated collections. And again, we're always here. And I just want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for taking your time to be here. I want to thank you for getting your data submitted early and reaching out with any questions. Carly and I are here to answer your questions as best we possibly can. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. Well,
Thank you.
I look forward to helping and meeting a lot of you folks and seeing all the data come in and having a really successful collection. And again, thanks for your time. Yay.